Believe so.
Okay, start.
All right. Greetings, everyone. I'm Jeffrey, and I run business development at Ubiquity. Before getting into what we do, let's set the stage for where we currently are as a society. As we all know, and backed up by our telepresence in this very meeting, the pandemic has had a significant impact on our lives. This impact has also been felt at the consumer level. When the lockdown went into effect, all non-essential stores were regulated by a new set of rules and expectations. At the retailer and restaurant level, this had a tremendous economic impact. Smaller chains were bolstered by government entitlements, but what was this infusion doing for sales? Unfortunately, not too much. As the waves of the pandemic washed over, more and more businesses began to close and furlough, but the strong were persevering. The pandemic shifted market share up 14% to a staggering 29% dominance in just 6 retailers: Amazon, Target, Walmart, Lowe's, Home Depot, and Costco, otherwise known as the Big Six. The reason for this was not only their ability to remain open, but also that they had previously invested billions of dollars into their omni-channel experiences. Moving on to the next slide. Let's listen into what's happening at the store level from someone that builds and takes rent checks from these brands.
I think the real driver is there is a radical reorienting of the consumer, how the consumer wants to access the goods in the last mile. The store is the ultimate weapon at the end of the last mile spear for omnichannel. There is no question about it. COVID has proved that dramatically. And every mall tenant who remains a viable chain, unless they happen to be in Short Hills or Millennia or like kind, is faced with trying to figure out, how do you get to the curb?
So as Adam indicated, how do we get to the curb? And what he means is the physical products from inside the store to curbside or the parking lot for pickup, as this new behavior is here to stay. And here's where we come in, introducing Ubiquity, our solution to streamline the curbside experience while offering intelligent insights to customers, and lastly, privacy to users. But before we get into the details and specs, let's hear firsthand example from our partner, Sarah Hank. Ms. Hank ran curbside experience for Target throughout the pandemic.
Hi everyone, my name is Sarah. Curbside and in-store pickup are two areas of shopping that have greatly increased since the start of 2020. As a customer doing curbside pickup, there are many different things that you may have seen go wrong, such as you cannot find where you're supposed to park to get your items, your order has been missing items, or you may have even been given the wrong order altogether. Some stores may even ask you to state where you're parking before you have even made it to the store. Problems with curbside and order pickup did not just happen for customers. Problems regularly happen for the employees in these positions in stores as well. As someone who helped lead a curbside and order pickup in Target, we experienced problems with it regularly. The biggest problem we as the store faced was what we would call a double beep. A double beep is when someone would let the store know that they are on their way at the same time they are arriving at the store and pulling into the curbside spot. As employees, this was such a big problem for us because we get timed on how long it takes for us to bring each order out and complete it in the system. If we go above the 2-minute mark continually on orders, we go what we would call in the red, and consequences can occur from management and upper level. The next biggest problem we faced were glitches between employee devices and devices not communicating on which orders are ready, have been taken out of their hold locations, and devices deciding they just don't want to work. At Ubiquity, this is something we're working to solve. Now we will hear from Saad, who works in our product development department.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Saad, and I lead the product at Ubiquity. Our product line is focused on 2 verticals, which essentially democratize the delivery and pickup process to create a bridge between the physical and digital marketplaces. The first of these 2 solutions is the Ubiquity Consolidated Dashboard, which is based on a freemium model which solves 2 major pain points for restaurants and retailers. First, it frees restaurants from the pain of having to manage 4 different devices for incoming orders via food delivery services such as Grubhub, Uber Eats, DoorDash, Caviar, etc. Through the proposed dashboard, restaurants will be able to manage their orders, inventory, menu, and financials all through one application. This eliminates the labor and capital associated with managing the 4 separate applications and creates a seamless, ubiquitous solution for Secondly, the dashboard acts as an aggregation of data collected from restaurants to food delivery services and users. Privacy is at the core of our business operations, and therefore it's important to reiterate that any and all data collected will be encrypted and anonymous. We hope the data will allow business owners to make more informed business decisions on matters both large scale and small scale. In 2021, it's imperative that the mom and pop shop down the road can hold the same level of informed business analytics as any large businesses to allow them to scale and, most importantly, dream. Now, moving on, second proposed solution, which we believe will help mature the curbside pickup industry, an industry which is clearly in its infancy through the problems that Sarah described. The Ubiquity Card will be one that will be ubiquitous, as the name kind of suggests, whether on your phone through a digital wallet application such as Apple Wallet or a physical card in your wallet. Digitally, the card speaks through a series of ones and zeros, but in reality, it's a one-stop solution to the modern pain points of curbside pickup. One tap and you're checked in, whether you're in spot A or spot Z. It doesn't matter, as the card will inform the relevant person where you currently are. Can't find a parking spot? No worries, just head inside to pick up your order. No need to get out your driver's license or your passport in order to verify your identity. Your Ubiquity card is your ID card. No order information, your card already has that data stored. Need to return an item, but you lost a receipt? No need. Your card, once again, already has the data. The card also acts as a blank canvas for such later iterations, which could add features down the line, such as a fintech solution for digital payments and adding functionality for the card to be used by delivery service drivers to verify that they're at the restaurant to pick up an order. The possibilities, endless. The solution, 3 words, NFC. Now, I'll give it over to Armando to explain the architecture driving all of this.
Thank you, Saad. My name is Armando Marquez. I run technology and data science at Ubiquity. It is fundamental that we design an architecture based on scalability. Starting from our launch, Ubiquity's backend will have to manage large amounts of data and will need to be prepared to scale up to several petabytes of storage and processing in the following years. This will ensure a seamless user experience with virtually no latency for both restaurants and customers. The core of our architecture, the Hadoop distributed file system, right at the center of the architecture, gives us the ability to scale seamlessly, adding storage clusters as demand increases. There you can see the HDFS in the middle of the architecture, Hadoop file system. And regardless of the demand we have at a given moment, we could scale up or down without having to restructure the whole architecture. At the input level, Kafka integrates all data sources units from all the delivery platforms, and Spark allows data ingestion into our backend. Our backend supports both batch processing for data analytics and stream processing for low latency operations. The batch processing component allows us to feed our machine learning models, namely convolutional neural networks, to cluster groups of customers and gradient boosting to predict future purchases. All of these building blocks enable a seamless user experience. We want our customers to fall in love with our service from the very beginning, and we had this in mind when building the architecture.
Good morning, my beautiful people. I am Samir bin Mohammed, and I run our customer onboarding process at Ubiquity. As Armando and Saad showed in the previous slides, there is a whole lot under the hood of the Ubiquity architecture. Simplifying this for the customer is where I come in. I take the complexities and offer simple onboarding solutions to restaurants and retailers through the use of our encrypted client portal. Any businesses that sign up with us get a unique login and a seamless drag and drop user interface where no matter what data set they are using, we have an easy way to learn interface that can get businesses up and running fast. Once the data is uploaded, they decide the metrics they want to adhere to and the frequencies they want them reported. Moreover, they can add anyone with the domain, whether it could be the CEO, store manager, or the accounting department to have full visibility of how their curbside customer service is scaling. On the slide, as you can see, our secret sauce, where on the left side, you can see the coding that we see, and the right side, we see the clients, the Airtables. You can see how something complex like this is simplified. Now I want to pass it to my friend, Nate.
Hello, my name is Nate, and I helped in crafting Ubiquity's go-to-market strategy. Ubiquity's plan to enter and stay in the market begins with introducing an intuitive, simple solution that lets retailers and restaurants focus on their core competencies instead of trying to carve out a distinct technology division. We will target strategic investment funds who likely have a diverse portfolio, many of whom could be greatly benefited from our solution. The Ubiquity Card will allow us to enter the market as a hero for retailers and restaurants who have yet to adapt to the omni-channel experience. This will make curbside pickup an automated and seamless experience for customers. We will use a bottom-up software as a service model, enabling our users to purchase a subscription, giving them access to the consolidated dashboard, as well as key metrics about the orders, such as time placed, order contents, zip code of the customer, and many more. To attract more wary restaurants and retailers, we will offer a freemium subscription, allowing the restaurant to have a trial period where they can use the dashboard. This will greatly lower barriers to entry, allowing us to take the market by storm. Now I'm going to pass it off to Armando for the financials.
Thank you, Nate. Given this go-to-market plan, we have the following conservative assumptions about our performance in the first 3 years. We plan to have a market share of around 1% at the beginning and grow at about 50% per year to achieve a 2.25 market share by the end of the third year. This is a total delivery. There are 800,000 total restaurants using delivery apps in the US, and we also expect that number to increase. We also have a conservative approach to the conversion rate, which is the number of freemium users that convert to the Pro version or the Enterprise version. So this is our bottom line. And if we go to the next slide, we can actually see the breakdown of the financials. So as we can see, we break even at the third year. However, we have the potential of generating over almost $1 million in revenue net profit by year 4. And our biggest costs right now are payroll expenses, not only for the management of Ubiquity, but also the IT maintenance. And this team will be in charge of running the operations for our cloud architecture. We also have the cloud architecture expenses there as well. It's our second biggest cost. And our biggest sources of revenue are, of course, from the customers at the restaurants that both integrate the dashboard and opt in for the data insights. And I'll pass it back to Jeffrey for our growth prospects.
Thank you, Armando. The startup and venture community are now heavily reliant on what they refer to as growth. And this is basically how quickly are you doubling your numbers, or at least in the beginning. The growth is essentially enveloping your minimum viable product, your MVP, into a proven conversion formula, which can be costly. Leveraging our HDFS data set, which is a reservoir of information with unquantifiable monetization potential, which can only become more defined as we add data scientists and quants. To give a real life example, this is the inflection point where Amazon turned profitable. Lastly, instead of taking on expensive debt or diluting through capital raises, there are many new solutions available. Pipe offers a new form of factoring where you can receive upfront cash in exchange for future contracts at attractive rates. Republic enables businesses to leverage the introduction of Regulation Crowdfund, or Regulation CF, that came into effect with the Jobs Act and has just recently been increased from 1 million to 5 million. This means that unaccredited investors can now participate in pre-IPO offerings. So we can align with customers who can then become investors, further strengthening our bonds. We are also applying for Y Combinator's summer batch, which will put us in good company. Some notable YC companies are Dropbox, Airbnb, DoorDash, and Coinbase, to name a few. Moving on to the next page, I'd like to formally introduce our team and where we are going. Armando ran digital transition at USF throughout the pandemic and is moving on to Goldman Sachs. I'm a recent USF alum with experience in venture, investment banking, and shopping center development, moving on to Cornell University. Nate is joining Tech Data. It's a prestigious Tampa Bay company that some of you may have heard of. Saad has worked with the Y Combinator startup Rally and is moving on to Bazaar, a B2B marketplace startup this summer. Sarah ran curbside at Target and recently joined a niche CPG startup Drip, with one of the foremost entrepreneurs in the Tampa Bay area. And Sammy is also joining Tech Data in cloud sales, where he will be instrumental in their continued success. Lastly, thank you. We are grateful for each other and for your time and our own unique trajectories. We'd like to open it up to questions with the audience and invite you to sign up for a demo today by visiting our website or taking a picture of this QR code. We are live now, and we would love to embrace you as one of our founding customers. This comes with an equity stake that won't disappoint, marking first steps toward a democratized future. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Let's move on to the questioning. And let's begin this time with our newest judge, Michelle. Then we'll go Sable, Claire, Tanya, David, and Matt. Michelle, you're up.
Thank you, Pat, and good morning, everyone. Really well done. Fascinating presentation. So you have a number of different audiences you're going to go after in restaurant retail. So can you quickly share with me what your first steps are? How are you going to, who are you going to approach? How are you going to sell this so that you can get maximum adoption?
Absolutely, thank you. And we're going to communicate, and on one of the slides that talked about all the different shopping centers that exist out there, we're going to target shopping centers and their owners, because we believe that being in alignment with the shopping center owner and potentially being introduced into the leases of these retail centers creates an alignment with the success of the center and the success of the retailer. So that's how we plan on kind of mass blanketing the community. And there's, I think, roughly 112,000 shopping centers in the United States currently.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sable?
I can get myself off of mute. Excuse me. So I love the QR code. I just brought it up on my phone here, and great job, guys. I think that's really cool. I like that you guys are live now. I think that's exciting. Why would you, I do have a question. Why would you go after shopping centers and not go to the major retailers like Walmart or Target or Sam's Club to market to them?
Oh, we will. When I mentioned shopping centers, I guess I'm talking about the people that own the centers where Walmart pays them rent. So sometimes Walmart owns their real estate and sometimes they pay a developer. And I believe that it's the best way to go to market is to communicate with somebody that owns 400 centers than somebody that owns just a few. Now, the retailers would be a good example, but I think that because shopping center owners own various brands in their umbrella, we have the ability to align focus with the success because they've been significantly hit with rent deferments, and it's only being bolstered by PPP, which does not equate to sales. So they're essentially just, it's a ticking time bomb that doesn't solve the problem, and that's where we come in.
Ah, good answer. Thank you very much. In your financials, can you flip back to your financials slide, please? Okay, the professional services for development and then R&D. Can you explain those a little bit more to me, please?
Yes, so at the very beginning of the launch, we'll hire some freelance developers and designers to help the professional team to make sure that we have all the input that we need from a diverse background to launch a design that appeals to our target. And the R&D, of course, is a continuous investment we're doing to make sure that we are at the cutting edge of our cloud architecture and that we're improving it year by year.
Yeah, I think those are very underestimated development costs. Development, especially if you're app-centric like this, it's a continuous improvement, continuous life cycle. So you guys are going to want to really go back and look at that. 20,000 will get you maybe, and this is my business, guys, 20,000 will get you maybe 40 hours of a developer, not a senior developer, a developer.
Right.
So you might want to reconsider your development costs. Consider that development is a continuous life cycle and a continuous improvement life cycle. And I think also on your R&D side, you need to reconsider those costs as well. I think they're very low in your financial model. But overall, I love the concept. I think you're right in identifying in the market post-pandemic, there's going to be more and more curbside pickup. I agree with you. I've done it more and more myself, and it was something I would never did before the pandemic. And now I find myself doing it quite a bit. So I love that you can bring together many services to one app, maybe even be able to integrate with their points or promotions schemes that they have, because I know that's why a lot of different retailers like to have their own apps to keep the loyalty and the brand and the points and all of that. But if you can bring that in, you won't be such a threat to those retailers. So I think that's it's a great concept. I think you guys did a really good job with this.
Thank you. And just to make myself clear, I may have confused you. Can you go back to the financials real quick, Jeffrey? Oh, sorry, Sad. Yeah, that's the freelance developers is 20,000, and that's only the first year for those freelance developers that are going to be working on the front end of the dashboard. However, if the payroll expenses include the full-time developers that are going to be working there full-time. So I just want to make that clear. But yeah, that's very
okay.
valuable.
That makes a lot more sense. All right, thank you. Thank you for clearing that up.
All right, thank you. Our next question comes from Claire.
Hey guys, great presentation. A very current issue to address for sure. And I like Sable, I agree with kind of your understanding of what's happening kind of in our culture, is that some of these cultural shifts are permanent, and I think curbside pickup is one of those things that's going to be a permanent part of our culture in the future. I think the one-tap feature seems like a key differentiator, because a lot of the bigger retailers have a pretty good process on your smartphone to integrate with them. So one quick question: do I need to get out of the car to be able to use the one tap, or how would you envision sort of the physicality of that?
So I can take that question. And essentially the one tap feature kind of came across from my own personal experience while picking up an order from Walmart, where it was a really clunky experience for me, not necessarily in the fact that it was very complicated or it was very, very time consuming, but it was just, there were too many clicks for something which is very simple, and it just felt kind of undercooked. And what I found, and these are the key things that I found in my own experience, is that there are only certain spaces that you can park for curbside pickup, whereas it should really be anywhere, right? If you're coming for curbside pickup, the goal is to make it that you park in the parking lot, and then the person brings your order out to you. And essentially there's this, like, when you go into a drive-through and they made these new sort of voice boxes, these sort of signs and voice boxes, where there's just a speaker attached to it, and there's just like a box on a sign, and that's it. That's just one thing, and it made it a lot easier. And so this is the same sort of concept, where there's just a sign and there's an NFC chip inside of that sign. Just tap it and that is done. It kind of comes from the concept that Chick-fil-A introduced in college campuses, where they partnered with Grubhub and they introduced these mobile check-in stations. And all you have to do is just walk up to it, tap your phone, you're good to go, you're checked in, and you just need to pick up your order. Or here, it's essentially the Ubiquity card goes into your wallet, and you can use it at multiple different retailers. So you can use it at Target and Walmart. So you don't have to go through the hassle of being like, oh, I need to use a different card at Target, or I need to use a different card at Walmart. It's ubiquitous, and you just tap it, and the card talks to the reader. The card lets them know, lets Target or Walmart or whatever store you're at know that you're there. And as it shows in this, you're at parking spot 59A, and the person who is responsible for your order just comes out and gives it to you. It's supposed to be that simple, and it will hopefully be that simple.
Okay, Well,
Thank you.
thank you very much for that answer. We have 3 more judges left to go. We have we're running a little short of time. Tanya, and then David, and then Matt. So Tanya?
Yeah, I have a lot of questions, so I'm not gonna have enough time, but you have a dual market, right? B2B and B2C. What I'm missing here is the connection of going directly to the commercial developers or the building owners, because don't you have to tie into the APIs of the individual retailers to get this to work, to know what order they have? And so going around them, I don't really understand that component of it. And then how are you going to get the B2C market to join in force to adopt your card? When you just now gave an example of having it on your phone. I'd rather have it on my phone because I tell you, my American Express tap doesn't work that great. So.
Sure, I can take the beginning of this question and then we can kind of distribute it out amongst the specialties. The reason why we would be going to it's a B2B concept. The B2C aspect of it is the other businesses, we want them to own their customer. So the back end of their dashboard communicates with the Ubiquity Card user, which happens to be their customer, but it's B2B. The reason why we would go to real estate people is if we can get this, if we can align focus with the success of a shopping center, which happens to also be mutually aligned with the success of the retailer, then we have the ability to potentially get this put into leases. And if we can get put into leases, then we can guarantee adoption amongst retailers. Leases are there's all kinds of different lease agreements where there's exclusives for coffee only, there's exclusive for clothes only, there's exclusive for discount. And it's kind of a legal way to discriminate reality, but that's what it is. And if we have the ability to get into leases, then we have the ability to cover more bases. And to answer the question about, I think I answered the question about the B2B and the B2C aspect. I don't know if there's anything else.
Yeah, thank you. Can we are running pretty short of time here. So Tanya, do you have any more questions you want to ask?
No, let someone else ask questions. I mean, I'm still not quite understanding it, but that's fine.
Okay, David and then Matt, we are running a few minutes over time. So if you could, students, make the answers quick. David, and then Matt.
I really don't have a question. I mean, it's funny. I read a Walmart article in Wall Street Journal just last week about them dismantling billions of dollars worth of equipment to deliver online products within the stores because everybody wants to pick them outside. So when I read your business plan, I was like, oh my God, you're right on. I think that I like the concept of having it with the owners of the complexes. It's really about a technology, if widely adopted, isn't necessarily a differentiator for Target, Walmart. It's about one of those things that everybody needs to do this to make it easier for the client. They still have to differentiate themselves, right? And making sure that they can deliver on what the app's providing, right? And so I like that because that means it's can quickly spread as far as acceptability.
That's exactly what we are based on. And one thing that I kind of want to highlight is that we don't want to take away anyone's customers. We don't want to be predatory. We actually want to work with all the different companies. So Tanya, going back to your point on how this would work. So essentially, when you're talking about building those partnerships to get businesses to use our dashboard, whether that's restaurants or retailers, one of them is to go to Target and be like, hey, we have the Ubiquity Card. It helps you with pickup. And we have this sort of the NFC station, and we want to implement that. We work with them. We build the card functionality into their app. So when somebody places an order with Target or with the Walmart app, they get the Ubiquity Card sent to them via the app or through email as well. And then we can also sort of build our own sort of digital wallet app where they can consolidate that and they can essentially consolidate all of their information in one app. But that's kind of how it works together. And also in terms of with the mall owners and everything, it's more of, because for example, in a mall owner, there's going to be small mom and pop shops, like a small Indian food shop or a small Japanese food shop. And so working with them, it'll be easier to work with the mall owners and be like, hey, so our clients, our partners, Ubiquity, use this, and we want you to use this and build it into the lease to make those partnerships easier to build.
Okay, great. So Matt, thank you for that side. Matt, do you have a quick question?
Now, in the sense of everything, I'll just say great job, guys. I think there's a lot of applicable usage here, very timely. I, of course, have a couple questions, but I'll hold and pass on this time, and I'll ask them in my follow-up email or the judging panel. You guys can look at them, but really, really nicely done.
All right, that concludes our third presentation. We can end the recording. Now what we do